Good evening. I'd like to call the Wilson School Board meeting for September 18th, 2017 to order. Roll call, please.
Here.
Mr. Ehrlich?
Here.
Mr. Hart?
Here.
Mr. Huff?
Here.
Mr. Martin?
Here.
Mr. Metzger?
Here.
Mr. Negrini?
Here.
Mrs. Reed?
Here.
And Mr. Wolf?
Here.
Everyone's present.
Please rise for the posting of the colors.
Mark time, mark, forward, mark. Mark time, march. Detail, halt. Sir, request permission to post colors.
Please post the colors.
Post colors. Reset, mark.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, mark. First color, mark. Left, face, forward, march.
Please be seated. Mr. Moravich.
As a public announcement, there's two opportunities for the public to address the board. The first is on agenda items, which is immediately before the agenda. The second is on non-agenda items, which is at the end of the meeting. Pursuant to board policy and the Sunshine Law, it is a 3-minute opportunity to provide the board with information that on issues that are before it or may come before it.
Is there any public participation on agenda items?
No.
Are there any communications? None?
No.
Executive session announcement. The board did meet in executive session after our board meeting on September 5th and also met in executive session this evening prior to tonight's meeting. On personnel matters, sorry. Thank you. First item is approval of the minutes from September 5th. Do I have a motion? Dr. Chmielewski. Second. Mr. Wolf. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Treasurer's report?
Mr. President, I submit for entering into the record the Treasurer's report, current investment report, and general fund financial reports.
Do I have a second? Mr. Negrini. Roll call, please.
Mr. Huff?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Metzger?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mrs. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Dr. Chmielewski?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
And Mr. Ehrlich?
Yes.
It's 9-4 and 0 against.
Payment of bills?
Mr. President, I submit we pay bills in the amount of $22,174.64 from the 2016-17 general fund, $2,297,152.50 rather from the 2017-18 general fund, $351,208.66 from the 16-17 capital reserve account, and $41,035.26 from the 17-18 capital reserve account.
Do I have a second? Mr. Hart. Roll call, please.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Metzger?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mrs. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Dr. Chmielewski?
Yes.
Yes.
9-4, 0 against.
And the financial reports.
I submit we accept the cafeteria report, child care report, and activity accounts reports from the senior high school, Wilson West, and Southern Middle School, all dated August 2017.
Do I have a second? Mr. Hart, roll call, please.
Mr. Metzger?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mrs. Reed?
yes,
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Dr. Shemaleski?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
And Mr. Ehrlich?
Yes.
9-4, 0 against.
Thank you. Item 4.1, request permission to approve the 2017-2018 overnight and/or out-of-state field trip and participations as attached. Do I have a motion for approval? Dr. Chmielewski, second. Mr. Martin, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Administration recommends the approval of the personnel program recommendations as presented this evening.
Thank you. Edna, we are going to vote on all of the items except for 5.8, and we'll pull 5.8 and vote on that separately. So do I have a motion for the superintendent's report with the exception of item 5.8? Mr. Hart, second. Mr. Martin, roll call, please.
Mrs. Reed?
yes,
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Dr. Shemaleski?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Metzger?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
And Mr. Ehrlich?
Yes.
It's 9-4 and 0 against.
Okay, now item 5.8, which is the substitute nurses. Do I have a motion for approval? Mr. Hart, second. Mr. Metzger, roll call, please.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mrs. Reed?
yes,
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Dr. Shemaleski?
Abstain.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Metzger?
Yes.
And Mr. Ehrlich?
Yes.
That's 8, 4, and 1 abstaining.
And the next items would be human resources, and we have a couple that I'm going to do separately. I'd like to do the first one separately, if that's okay, given the this item. So item 7.1 is request approval to enter into a 5-year agreement with Dr. Matthew Flannery as Assistant Superintendent of Schools in the Wilson School District beginning September 11, 2017 at a starting annual salary of $145,000 as per the attached agreement. Do I have a motion? Mr. Hart, second. Mr. Hopp, is there any discussion?
Just wanted to comment that I had the privilege of being on the board, as some of us may have also been, when we hired Dr. Flannery. I believe he was coming from the Lebanon School District. And as many of us in the room know, he was our principals at West Wyomissing, Lincoln Park, and then at Shiloh Hills. And literally everywhere Dr. Flannery has gone at Wilson, he has been a complete success. And I couldn't be more happy and proud today to vote to hire him as our assistant superintendent.
Well said. Anybody else? I echo Mr. Hopp's comments, and I understand you have a cheering section here tonight, and my only comment is, with the season the Phillies are having, I think you have more people here tonight than I've seen at some of the Phillies games this year. But that's great, and as the Wilson board, we're extremely proud of you. So I believe we have a motion and a second. Is that correct?
Yes, we do.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Reed?
yes,
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Dr. Shemaleski?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
No.
Mr. Metzger?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
and Mr. Ehrlich.
Yes.
That's 8 yes, 1 no.
Dr. Flannery, congratulations. We'll let you get started tomorrow morning at your new job, so we won't make you start tonight.
Sounds good.
Although I know you've already been started, so. Next item, we are going to do 7.2, 7.3, and 7.5 together. I'm really going to mess you up here, Edna. Got to keep you on your toes. Do I have a motion for 7.2, 7.3, and 7.5? Dr. Chmielewski. Second, Mr. Hart. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wolf,
Yes.
Dr. Chmielewski,
Yes.
Mr. Hart,
Yes.
Mr. Hopp,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Metzger,
Yes.
Mr. Negrini,
Yes.
Mrs. Reed,
Yes.
and Mr. Ehrlich.
Yes.
That's 9-4, 0 against.
Item 7.4, which is the request approval of the athletic camp stipends as attached. Do I have a motion for approval? Mr. Wolf, second. Mr. Martin. Roll call, please.
Dr. Chmielewski,
No.
Mr. Hart,
Yes.
Mr. Hopp,
No.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Metzger,
Yes.
Mr. Negrini,
Yes.
Mrs. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Wolf,
Yes.
and Mr. Ehrlich.
Yes.
So that's 7-4 and 2 against.
Correct. Thank you. Under Pupil Services 8.1, request permission to contract with Opportunity School to provide educational services to one special education student. 8.2 is request permission to contract with Affinity Educational Solutions, which is formerly known as Manito, to provide educational services to one special education student. 8.3 is permission to waive tuition for the following students as per board policy number 202. Is one kindergarten student at Whitfield and one student grade 12 in the high school. Do I have a motion for approval? Mr. Negrini, second. Mr. Hart, roll call, please.
Dr. Chmielewski,
No.
Mr. Hart,
Yes.
Mr. Hopp,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
No.
Mr. Metzger,
Yes.
Mr. Negrini,
Yes.
Mrs. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Wolf,
Yes.
and Mr. Ehrlich.
Yes.
That's 7-4 and 2 against.
Under Finance 11.1 is request approval to award contracts for the purchase of the winter-spring athletic supplies. And 11.2, request approval of the budget transfers dated June 30th, 2017. Do I have a motion for approval? Mr. Negrini, second. Mr. Martin, roll call, please.
Mr. Hart,
Yes.
Mr. Hopp,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Metzger,
Yes.
Mr. Negrini,
Yes.
Mrs. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Wolf,
Yes.
Dr. Chmielewski,
Yes.
and Mr. Ehrlich.
Yes.
That's 9-4, 0 against.
Under Curriculum 12.1 is request approval of the practicum internship agreement for the school nurse certification between Eastern Mennonite University and the Wilson School District, which will commence on January 8th, 2018, terminating on April 13th, 2018. Do I have a motion for approval? Dr. Chmielewski, second. Mr. Metzger, roll call, please.
Mr. Hopp,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Metzger,
Yes.
Mr. Negrini,
Yes.
Mrs. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Wolf,
Yes.
Dr. Chmielewski,
Yes.
Mr. Hart,
Yes.
and Mr. Ehrlich.
Yes.
That's 9-4, 0 against.
Under Transportation 13.1 is request permission to contract with Klein Bus Service to provide transportation services at a per diem rate of $320 per vehicle. Is there a motion for approval? Dr. Chmielewski. Second. Mr. Wolf, just a little explanation on this. The reason that the board is being asked to vote on this, unfortunately, we as a district and a lot of districts in Berks County are having a lot of difficulty in finding bus drivers right now. We have a number of people that are kind of in the queue and going through the process to get approved, but they need to take courses, go through a driving test, they need to go through written tests, background tests, obviously. And Christine, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they will not be eligible to be drivers till around January. Is that? Hopefully before then. So we have been looking at every different avenue, every different option that the district has, and Klein has been willing to offer us this service, and frankly, we don't have a whole lot of choice. We have office staff that have their CDL licenses. We have mechanics. Everybody that has a CDL license has been driving, and I thank them for pitching in, because I think they are all doing what they have to do to get our students to their various buildings. And we have a lot of buses on the road. We have, I believe at any one time the district has about 60 buses on the road at any one time. So we obviously want our students to be safe, and this is hopefully a stopgap measure, but that's the reason this is on the agenda for this evening. So I believe we have a motion and a second.
Yes. Question.
Yes.
Just to clarify, it reads that it's $320 per vehicle plus diesel fuel, and the diesel is not provided $345. If we don't provide it,
yeah, and we will provide the buses, and we have our own fuel. So the 345 is not going to really be applicable for us. But that's what the contract says. If we would not provide the fuel, but they will be using Wilson buses.
No, that is incorrect.
Is that incorrect? Okay, I thought they
have a bus dedicated strictly to our bus run. It includes our fuel.
Okay, I thought they were using our buses.
They won't be able to do that just based on their insurance.
Okay, I stand
carriers'
corrected then.
Restrictions.
Aline, thank you for clearing that up and correcting me. So it'll be their bus, but our fuel?
That's correct.
Okay. I had it half right.
I think kind of what your question is.
yeah,
but
so
it's
your
clear-
point,
it's-
we don't want to pay $25
per hour for gas at this point.
It's not, it's 320, it's 320 plus the fuel that we're providing, and it's clear in the contract.
Yeah.
I think I know what you're asking. You're saying it sounds like as if
Sounds like it's
the plus is for them to pay for it's plus we're providing the diesel fuel.
So we're providing the diesel fuel in their bus.
Yes. And that is clear in the
And it would be
contract.
320. Hopefully this will not be a long-term, but we've had a couple issues already, with the beginning of the school year. We've had to struggle to get kids to school, so. And we are currently also re-looking at our bus routes to see if there's a better way to organize our bus routes, and maybe we could eliminate some buses as well.
Their bus drivers will have clearance.
Right. Any other questions? Thank you, Brad. Roll call, please.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Metzger?
yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mrs. Reed?
yes,
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Dr. Chmielewski?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Hock?
Yes.
And Mr. Ehrlich?
Yes.
That's 9-4, 0 against.
Committee reports, Berks Career and Technology.
The next meeting of the JOC at BCTC is going to be held on Wednesday, September 27th at our West Campus at 6:30 p.m.
Thank you. Berks County IU, Carol's or anything to report?
now the next meeting is this Thursday, 7 o'clock at the BCIU.
Okay, thank you. FERC CIT?
The next meeting is September 28th at 6 o'clock.
Curriculum Committee. Carol, anything to report?
The next meeting is this Wednesday, 4 o'clock, in Dr. Amy Flannery's office.
Thank you. Extracurricular.
Just an update on our fall sports. Boys lacrosse is at 4-1. Girls lacrosse remains undefeated at 5-0. Field hockey has an outstanding start. They're 7-0 right now. Football unfortunately dropped to 1-2. Golf is at 8-3. Boys soccer is 5-1-1. Girls soccer is 6-1. Girls tennis 3-2. Girls volleyball 4-1. Girls water polo 5-3, and our boys water polo team is our other undefeated team right now at 8-0. I happened to be at North Penn on Saturday for the soccer game, and then also caught the boys water polo match against North Penn, which is a perennial favorite in the state and one of their biggest rivals. And it was an awesome game. Went into overtime and got a little emotional, but our student athletes did a great job composing themselves and showing sportsmanship, and ended up beating them with a last-second penalty. I don't know the term for it, a five-meter penalty. So it was have a whole new respect for those athletes. So it was a great game.
Mr. Wilson never knew that a pool could get that loud.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Facilities?
Our next meeting is tomorrow, 4:30 at the Operations Center.
Finance, no report. Human Resources?
No report.
Legislative?
I do have a report. The House passed 10391, a way of funding the deficits. We have a $2.3 billion deficit, of which the bulk of that, I think $1.5 billion was from last year, and $600 million for this year, and plus some carryovers. Once again, all of it, I should say the bulk of it's going to be selling our future tobacco revenue sources for health purposes. So they're selling $1 billion of our settlement fund with the tobacco industry to fund part of the budget. They're transferring money out of other accounts, $630 million to transfer from other accounts. So basically, the bottom line is there's no new tax increases, all robbing Peter to pay Paul. Of course, the pension crisis continues to drain those resources, and there's no real solution in the near future. Now, for the funny part, 10 communities across Pennsylvania foundations hired Pennsylvania Economy League to do an analysis of Pennsylvania's economy, and they found out that it's been deteriorating over the last several years. So they paid thousands of dollars for this, and I thought they could have paid me half, and I could have given them the same recommendation. That's it.
Tobacco money earmarked that settlement? Was it earmarked for certain?
It was supposed to be.
I think it's technically borrowed.
Well, the legislature says they're selling it. And,
they're still going to have to pay that back. The last time they did that was with, Ed Rendell. And basically to balance the budget, they raided the M-Care Fund, which wasn't theirs to raid. It's actually the physicians of Pennsylvania that contribute to that fund. And I believe the Pennsylvania College of Radiology kind of sued them, and they wound up paying us back with interest. Oh. So I'm very cautious about dedicated funds being used to service general debt. That can get very dangerous, particularly on the order of $1 billion dangerous.
Well, I haven't seen the actual wording, but they're selling it to raise, so maybe they are going to pay it back, but
they're going to have
to
pay it back.
It's not going to happen.
They're going to have to pay it back with interest, because that's the law.
Well, you're right, we shall see.
How are they going to pay it back?
I don't know. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
What? Yeah.
And taxes on tobacco.
Shares tax.
And the answer is always tobacco, gambling, and gasoline.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, it's such a small amount, but they're anticipating an additional $200 million for gambling this year. Because it's going to go online, gambling is going to be coming up for vote. and they expect that to be a revenue generator. Just like New Jersey has
Right.
online gambling.
You can't do it in Pennsylvania
We're
right
gonna,
now.
yes, it's coming up for
Yeah.
vote. So now everybody can gamble online.
Thank you. Public Relations and Education Foundation.
Hello, I'd like to issue the public information report and also share some Wilson good news. So on Monday, September 11th, the Wilson Army JROTC cadets placed flags throughout the high school campus to honor the memory of 9/11. They've been doing this in honor of 9/11 for 10 years now, and I don't know if you saw, but it just looked beautiful. If anybody had a chance to drive by the campus, it was a wonderful tribute. The Reading Eagle did cover the story, and it ran last Tuesday in the paper. Recently, our iSTEM advisory board, made up of Wilson iSTEM teachers, administration, and community members who work in STEM-related fields, met to discuss our student mentor program. This year, we have over 180 freshmen enrolled in our 9th grade iSTEM program, and groups of 3 to 5 students will be paired with a mentor working in the field to guide and support them through their group projects. So we are promoting the need for these mentors through all district-wide communications, and there'll be a special open house for interested mentors on Thursday, September 28th, from 5:30 to 6:15 in the STEM lab located in the Wilson Lower House building. So we're definitely looking for mentors to work with our students. The Wilson Theater Company will be presenting Noises Off, which is their first main stage production of the year, from October 5th through the 7th, and tickets can be purchased on the Theater Company website. And finally, just a reminder that there will be an early dismissal this Wednesday, September 20th for all students. Secondary dismisses at 11 a.m. and elementary at 11:45 a.m. And we are communicating that through district-wide communications as a reminder. And then I'll issue the Wilson Education Foundation report. We had our board meeting on Friday, September 15th, where we provided an update on our strategic planning process and highlighted various grants and projects the foundation has supported throughout the past school year. And the alumni committee of the foundation will have a presence at homecoming on October 6th, with our focus being on greeting alumni and gathering contact information from them for future purposes. So, thank you.
Thank you. Technology. Student outreach. Sophia.
And some of the student government members actually canned to help raise money for the Hurricane Irma and Harvey. The freshman tailgate that Link Crew put on was also Friday before the game, and it was a big success. Meet the Teacher Night is coming up, and student government members and other clubs with their members are going to stand around the halls and show parents where they need to go if they can't find a classroom. This Friday's football game is actually the gold out for Minithon, and so there's going to be a bake sale, and they'll have cans out for donations. And then on Saturday, to continue their gold out weekend, they are having a car wash at the First National Bank on Shillington Road by the police department. And this weekend is also Water Polo's Beast of the East, which is the largest East Coast water polo tournament. And lastly, Pink Out is coming up, and the shirts will be on sale soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Maravich. Is there any other business? No public participation on non-agenda items? If not, I will take a motion to adjourn. Mr. Hopp, second. Dr. Chmielewski, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Carol, feel well.
Thank you so much. Good night.
Good night.